What's up, everyone? Welcome. This is Path to Self-Mastery, Path to Real Change. If you're new here, this is very raw, unedited, a real deep dive into real change and building foundations to do that from the ground up. It's not an easy thing to actually do, to really get on the path that you want to be on, to master yourself, to examine everything, to take actions, to make habits. It's why most people aren't able to actually change. So going through it from the ground up is challenging and difficult. And here I've identified 4 main starting points that I think are useful. This could all change, but for now, what I've hit is choose your why, your ultimate why, and your current belief. Examine this, spend time with it. It took me kind of days to toil with it, and now today I've gotten through that point. Today I wrote out my why, my ultimate kind of belief, my larger picture understanding of why I'm here and what I'm doing as of right now. And then I'm going to let it kind of evolve. It's short, so I can let it evolve, keep my mind on it day by day as I move through some of these other things, because they need to all connect with each other. The next thing is to specify exactly what you want on a lower scale, like in your actual life. What are the most important things to you? Family, friends, business, work, your dreams, whatever they are, you gotta specify exactly what they are and get deep into them. That's where I am right now. That's what I'm exploring. That's what I'm gonna explore today and show you a little bit about how that process is a little grueling. It's where people get held up because you have to push yourself to really nail down these things. And when you do, it's pretty cool. From what I've experienced so far, it's like my why and my belief, like spending the time with that, it was surprising to me what my bigger picture kind of why was. So 3 is specify the character traits that you want while you go towards your, move through the world and to achieve your goals. Because, if you might be faced with situations where, in order to achieve something, you might have to sacrifice part of your character that you might not want to do. So I think understanding from that perspective as well is essential. Create a systems, habits, and actions that are going to get you to your, they're going to, make sure your character traits are growing in that way. And that your habits or your what you want, you're moving towards that day in and day out, and then that's all tying directly into your why and your belief system. So that's the gist of it. Today, let's get into where I'm at right now, just to give you some examples, right? So the first thing I thought of was I want the best relationships I can possibly have with my immediate family, my wife and kids. I feel like that's first, my family unit. Write that down, family unit. Super important, right? It's like you got that and your family unit, and that is strong. For so many reasons, I think for me personally, that's where I want to start with what's important to me, and really going deep into that, and really understanding as many areas as I can that I want to improve. It's not like I have I have great relationships with my kids and wife, and I just, it's not perfect, and not that it needs to be perfect, but I think it can be better, and I want it to be better in many ways. So, for me, some of the other things I wrote down is to be the best father I can possibly be to my kids. I think, when you have a want like that, then you got to ask yourself why. Okay, so for me, it's like, first question, for these things is why. Why, right? And then how. Okay, so why? Why do I want to have the best relationship I can possibly have with my kids? Well, one, they're going to go out into the world and navigate their way through it and affect others and this world. So to be the best, from a team player perspective, I want to share with them everything I can about, how they could possibly do well and, help success, on a larger scale. I want to teach them everything I know that I think is important, like some of these things, if I can. I think it ties into some of my larger, belief system goals about, connection and even spirituality. And it's like, getting a deep relationship of with love and respect and care and all those things, and magnifying those things, or getting them to the best possible place I can get them, ties into my bigger picture goals, and spreading that. So I want to get to know them. I want to learn about them. I want to connect. I want to learn from them. And I want to share experiences with them that ties directly back into my bigger belief or my why. So, it is the ultimate. I think kids are in my why, I have a lot of stuff about connecting to this larger things, this spirituality, source or God or whatever you want to call it, infinite, unbound. That's the thing that I found, that I was I'm interested in that. I'm that to me I can't even fathom it, because everything in my world is contained, my body, a house, an earth, the earth, it's all, everything you can think of is containers. So what's outside of that is a fascinating concept. And then within that is the only way I see to really understanding that is sort of feelings and emotions. And how do you get to those, and do those even exist outside of, a container, body, mind, and if they are real, that's, the biggest emotions, the biggest feelings. I see no better pathway than the things than the people that you love the most, and that would be my kids, So that all ties together for me. So that's just a little bit about why. Okay, why? And why is a fucking hard question. If you go back why enough, like a kid, why, right? It takes you to a place that you can't answer without making a jump to spirituality. There's no way to answer why if you go far enough. And that I love that point, that thought, that idea, So, why is a hard thing? But I think it's worth the effort, And that's what one of my main points about all this is it's worth it. It's worth the effort to look into these things. You got to go. We got to get to our systems, habits, and actions, quickly, because we don't want to stay here for too long. Otherwise, we're not actually going to go and do anything. The work here is asking the why. Okay, so it's do this work. Do this work. You got to do this work, right? And push it a little bit. Push your boundaries. Push your thoughts. Why? Why do you want something? Because like wanting something that is like superficial or, that's it. That's why we're fucking doing this. That's why we're spending the time. And you might be on here, if you're listening, like going, wow, this is not succinct, well, it's not going to be when you start. So like, you're going to have to go through this, right? I'm going to have to go through this if I really want this. You've got to fucking do it. You got to understand that, like, if you say, I want the best relationship I can possibly have with my kids, and you don't understand why, and the deeper you go, the better, right? You can't spend forever because you got to get to it, but if you can get into it, you got to do it because it's going to make it stronger, more likely that it lasts. If you're doing it because that's just always what everybody says, oh, I want to have great relationships with my kids. Well, it's not, there's no depth there. There's no real strength and understanding, and there's no roots. So, do that fucking work, guys. Do it. I'm talking to myself too, because, as much as I just talked about it there, you're gonna have to go deeper. I'm gonna have to go deeper. And then once you do that, once you answer the why, how? And the how, I think we're gonna have to. We can go into a little bit here, but it really is in number 4 where we create the systems and the habits, and that's where we're gonna attach these things. So how a little bit is like, okay, read about it. About it. Experts. How to be a great father, or if you're a mother, it's like how to be a great parent. Maybe read about it. There's probably hundreds of, maybe thousands of books on the subject. Doesn't mean you have to follow those things, but it's going to push you. So maybe one of our systems, one of the habits we build is like, reading about that subject, how to be the best parent you can possibly be, how to get better at it. And then once you read it, if you find tips, you're going to have a system that's built that implements new things, new habits that you're creating. But it's got to be intentional. Otherwise, there's too much. It's got to be intentional and systemized. Otherwise, you're not going to get to all of your wants in the time that you have. So if you have any hope, if there's any hope for me at all the things, because this is just the first one, I have like 40 something. If there's any hope to getting to the point where at the end I'm like, wow, I did everything I could. Maybe I got there a little late in the game, but I did everything I could. Once I locked in, once I was like, okay, like the time's gonna be running out, time is running out. I gotta go, Then I did everything I could, and I want that feeling. I want to feel like, there wasn't any stone I left unturned. I did everything I could. All right. Read about, like, find the experts. What are some other things? Planning and scheduling. I think it's like plan. Plan. Book. Schedule. Quality time. All right, so maybe one-on-one time. It's like maybe you already do this. A lot of people plan, vacations, and we go on vacations. It's usually my wife planning a lot of these things. But one thing I don't do is really plan, like, I want to, have 30 minutes of quality time, that's planned. Maybe I take just my son to, lunch or something. It normally happens naturally. We're like going to a sports event or whatever, and we're in the car, we're talking. So it does happen naturally, but to be aware, and if it's lacking, like with my daughter, she's older, she has a car, so, it's like there's less. So at that stage with her, I'm gonna have to be more intentional. She's like always got things planned, so, and she's a teenager, and it's like so it's like you might have to then, really plan, schedule in advance, quality time, and you can do it. I think so I think with that, like, the why is the most important thing at this stage. To be the best husband I can be to my wife. A lot of people, I know people that, especially after they've been together forever, maybe they have young kids, or maybe their kids are getting a little older now, they still haven't left the house, but they're basically checked out with each other. They're basically roommates, and maybe they're going to stay together because they're like, oh, the kids, But if you're spending the time with this, like really going, I want to achieve all these things. I have a bigger picture understanding of my reason for being, or I've chosen one, And even if that choice is like, fuck you world, well, at least you've then chosen it. You'll get down to this point and you'll be like, I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may, because fuck this. Then fine, but at least then you've chosen. I don't think there's any way you can look at this and really, truly go, it's not good to do anything. Like, I think any way you shake it, why not? Just do something, make a choice, choose whatever path you choose it, is my opinion. And it's what I'm doing for myself. Or what I'm trying to do for myself. But think about, like, just to get deeper into these, why you want what you want. So why do I want to be the greatest husband I can possibly be? Well, if I try to be the greatest husband I can possibly be, it's going to tie into my goal of being the greatest father I can be, because my kids are going to model themselves off the relationship that I have with my wife and that she has with me. And if what they see is kind of cold, and we're annoyed with each other most of the time, and we don't talk to each other, we don't support each other, we're basically annoyed with each other all the time, which is super easy to happen, and you know what I'm talking about if you've been in a long relationship. It's just, it's almost inevitable unless you're doing the work. Some people get super lucky, I think. It's like super rare. But some people they just click from the beginning in every fucking way, and they never stop. But they've done the work, but it was easier for them, right? They made sure to have, like, to take care of each other, and their personalities clicked in just the right way. So like that's super rare. Most of us are gonna have to, like, put some work in to make sure that we get what we need and they get what they need, and that we care about each other and we're supporting each other. But if my kids see me supporting my wife and me boosting her and making her feel, doing the little things that takes the stress away from her a little bit, like putting the dishes in the dishwasher, little tiny things, that drive her crazy, right? If I do those things, That's easy for me to list out how can I be better. I mean, I know them, right? But the reason you don't with your relationship, at least the reason I don't with my relationship, is because you've built up like, well, maybe she's not done anything, so why should I first? You know, and even if I do it first, I don't know if she's going to do anything back. So like, and again, if you've gone through your whys, and you trickle that all over your bigger picture, and it fits, because the opposite does not fit, then to your wants, to your kids, if it fits, and then it'll probably fit in your character traits too. It's all going to make sense, and you're going to be like, boom, I'm definitely going to become the best husband I can be. It's a better choice. It's going to make me happier. It's going to make me enjoy my life more and my wife more. And it's going to make my other wants all the better. And this is just my mind working because I haven't actually achieved it. But like, I'd imagine that trickles down to all your other wants. I think once you give that support, once you give those good feelings, once you get there, I bet that she or he or whoever your partner is gonna feel more a desire to then support you in your other goals, getting fit. They're gonna look at you differently. They're gonna help you more. They're gonna put their hand on your back, and they're gonna support you. And you need it. You know, you need people. You need support, but you gotta give. And so the why and all these steps are just a part of that. Let's get into health a little bit. Be another one. Health and fitness. I mean, you know, being healthy is like, it's kind of crucial, right? If you don't have health, like, and you don't feel good, how are you going to be a good parent? How are you going to hit your bigger picture goals? Your why, your reason for being? How are you going to be the best partner you can possibly be if you're like a liability, you know, if you're unhealthy? So to do everything you can be to be healthy, I think that's a super easy why, and it ties into everything else as well. You know, the how for that is also not that difficult. Still, you got to take the time, like, you know, eating well, sleep. I talk about this all the time. I mean, I know through experience, sleep is just crucial. I know, like, I remember the days, most of my life, where it was like in style, in fashion to be like, oh, I was up all night, like, you know, creating my business or working on whatever, and it doesn't help you move things forward, because unless you're like a freak of nature, you know, if you don't get that somewhere between 6 to 8 hours a night, like most of us, you're not going to feel good the next day. You're not going to react as well. You're not going to be as sharp. You're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to feel good. Like, sleep is the biggest thing. Eating well and in a balanced way is another thing for me that is just like, so I'm going to be putting that in my systems in a checklist, you know. So getting into fitness is something I think a little bit different. I think you can be super healthy and not be super physically fit. Like, you could do a little bit of exercise, walking, eat well and balanced. Like, I know people that are super healthy. One of my sisters is like, got it down pat, like so healthy, has always been. And I think the thing with her is she's always gotten good sleep, and she never eats a lot. She's always like if you, and it doesn't matter what she doesn't. It's not like she eats. She loves like burgers and steaks and stuff. But it's like if she gets a burger, she eats half of it, and she gets fries, and there's always something. Do you want my fries? She's always like, do you want my fries? Like, she doesn't eat until she's like stuffed. She eats till actually she's a little less than full. And I think I read somewhere, like studies have actually backed that up now, that it's like some of the what is it, blue zones or something, people over, like that are really living long, like one of the character traits is that they eat just before, they stop just before they feel full, because it takes a while for your body to really, for all the food to settle and start digesting, that you're actually full or have what you need before you feel it. So that just, I don't think you don't need to be running marathons to be healthy. You could be super healthy, maybe walk a little bit, as much as you every day if you can, eat well, things like that. So that could be your how for health could be pretty freaking simple. Fitness, if you want to get super fit, I think it's one of the more fun things you can do. If you're athletic, or you were when you were younger, or maybe you are young and you want, that's fun for you. I mean, you look better, you're more attractive, you can feel good if you're super fit. I think, the how on that is super fun too. There's a lot of things you can get into on that front. So let's talk a little bit about wealth. I mean, this is one where, to choose, I want to be wealthy and get specific on it. How wealthy? Why would you want to be wealthy, and to what extent? Well, it ties into some of my other goals of like being the best father I can be would mean, being able to support my family in the best way that I possibly could. Giving them safety, a feeling of security, allowing for creativity. If you're wealthy, you really don't have to worry about money. You can try things, you can do things, you can start a business, hire some people. Like, there's a lot of doors that open if you have some money. So I think, and then it all ties into, for me personally, like all of it. It's easier for me to be healthy if, I'm able to buy some foods that are more expensive because they're better foods, less, chemicals and less preservatives. It's easier for me to get a gym membership. It's easier for me to get a coach if I need to, I mean, in every way, it trickles down. It gives you more time if you need it. I think for me, it's a worthy pursuit, tying into all the goals. How? It's hard, right? And depending on where you're starting from, it could be a lot harder. And that's the thing, some of us are starting from nothing and really difficult situations, including difficult, mindsets that we were born into. So if you're someone who doesn't have a lot, and you were born into a situation where no one was giving you the kind of mindsets or understandings or confidence that you could do certain things to get yourself in into a certain place that would up the probabilities that you can then make more money. Well, how are you ever going to do that if you weren't exposed to anything like that, and you start with nothing? I mean, the people that come out of that should be always acknowledged and respected, because the difficulty level of that is insane. I always feel thankful that I had, even though I didn't have a lot of money in my household, like I had a father who injected me with just, belief and unbelievable confidence and, a spirit of you can adventure and exploration and you can do things and love, and it that's just luck, right? I mean, that's just the way that the hand is dealt. Sure, did I get, things that I'm lacking because I didn't have, but like some people are starting with unbelievable disadvantages and still, but with the knowledge and awareness that we have today, all the knowledge in the world you can find online. All you have to do is like start looking, and then one thing will lead to the next, will lead to the next. And systems like this, ideas like this, will keep flowing around and we'll keep sharing them and helping each other grow. But the why for wealth is, I think, pretty easy. The how, much more difficult. But we've got the resources, so maybe it's not as difficult as you think. And we're in an age of information, and if you want that, that will be one of the things that we get to in systems. Break out, like, what habits can you create that are going to help you get more wealthy? I hope this gives you an idea of the time that needs to be spent on each thing. As I said, I've got like major things, like 45. Within those like 40, 45 things that I have, I know that each thing needs to be broken out, and my why for each of those things and my how for each of those things now needs to be I need to spend a lot of time on, and then I got to push to get through that phase as quickly as I can, and then leave room to revise it as I go. Because as soon as you start building the habits and the systems and start doing them every day, you're going to start realizing certain things, and you're going to want to adapt and change. So it's all doable. It is all doable. You just have to keep the chain going. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. This is day 6 today of me working this stuff out, and there's a lot more to be done behind the scenes. I'm going to do as much as I can here with you when I can. I'll be back tomorrow for day 7, and I'll commit to that at the very least, and then hopefully day 7 will bring me to day 8. But that is also challenging, something new, something difficult, something outside of the normal systems. It's easy to have something like that get knocked out as soon as something comes up. And we've all experienced that before. So I think one of the tricks is really, if you get knocked off, don't stop altogether. Get back on, mend that chain, like weld it back together. You can weld it back together. All right, we're on day 6 here. It's not a very long chain, but we're going to keep it going as long as we can. Thanks for watching.